The dashboard this is the dashboard that you would come in on. You will see the Paragon Connect icon right here, and you would simply click on that icon. You would be able to do the exact same thing if you're on your phone, and we'll kind of go back and forth with that just a little bit. But once you tap on the Paragon Connect icon, it will log you in, and you will land on a screen that looks similar to this. Well, depending on what you have set up, if you're very first time coming in, this will probably be blank, and you may or may not have all of these little widgets here, and we'll talk about that here in just a second. But for the most part, this is going to be your experience. One of the things I want to make sure everyone's aware of is this is a responsive design site. And I'll just give you an example of what that means. If I were to change my size of my screen, it would then change the view. So if I were to scroll in or scroll out, you can see how it kind of collapses and moves around. So what that means to you as people in the field, whether you're on your cell phone, a tablet, a large computer, small computer, TV, Oculus binoculars, whatever it is that you're trying to work with that uses a browser, this system will respond to that and give you the very best UI experience that it has to offer. Okay, so that's important to know. You don't have to be on any kind of special device. It will work on all of those devices. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. One of the main things that people like to do when they're out and about, and I think Celeste talked about that, was just being able to access and get to a piece of property, right? And there's a couple of ways we can do that, right? And before we do it, I'll point those three things out and then we'll jump right in. Under the hamburger menu, here's all of your main pieces of navigation. You can simply go into and hit a property search. There's all the different property classes that you guys have available. If I were to go into residential sale, there's would be all of the fields that are available to me and I'm able to search. And we'll dig into that in a lot of detail. Across the top here, you have just a basic address search. We'll get into that. The near me search, Celeste talked about that earlier. If I were to tap on that, it's going to find my location, which I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. And so it would plot me right here, but I can still go off to some other areas. If that's not, you like, wow, that's great. I love this. I love this. I love this. We give you quick ways to access that. If you see your quick actions, you also have some of those things right here. We give you the 80-20 rule, right? 80% of the people are always looking for a residential search. So if you're on your phone, it may be easy just to tap on a residential sale search or listings near me, or if you wanted to go into the power search. So we give you multiple ways to be able to access those searches. Okay. So let's jump into a couple of those relatively quickly. So for example, if I wanted to search on, I have a client looking for a points of interest and he wanted to find something near an airport. And he told me he was looking near Cackleberry. I think that's the name of the airport. Whoop, sorry. Cackleberry Airport, and it brings up a current location. One tap, and there's my current location of this particular airport. I can zoom in, zoom out, and really what my client was telling me is they really wanted to live and be near this particular lake. They couldn't remember what the lake was called, but they knew it was near this Crackleberry Airport because they have a private plane and they want to go out and get quick access to that airport. So once you do that, and you saw I just did a quick points of entry, or point of interest. Once you come back and you see all of those properties, one tap brings you into the actual property itself. The way this is laid out is you have your photos, you have a map view, and a street view if that street view is available. If it's not, then you'll get a notification that it's not. And depending on where it is, we follow the exact same guidelines that Google does. Matter of fact, they're the ones that provide us the street views, and those are updated, you can see, to the latest and greatest. So if it doesn't exist in Google, it's not going to exist here. A couple of things I want to point out while we're here at the display. If you wanted to look at all the photos, and I'll show you this a couple of different ways, you can just kind of scroll through. Obviously, if you're on your phone, you could swipe, but this way would just allow you to scroll through those photos. If you wanted to see all the photos at once, this icon here on the right, and I'll be able to point that out to you in some other places as well, tapping on that will bring back all the photos that I can scroll through at one time, right? So it makes it very simple for you to access those photos. Scrolling down the page, you'll see access to quick actions to third parties. For example, your Remind, your property report, your public record report right there for Remind, schedule showings, or even start a transaction. Live links to any kind of virtual tours if they exist. And then again, a little bit more detail about that property. I can quickly tap on and see any kind of agent office information on that particular property and quick access to any documents. By clicking on the documents, it will take me off to my Remind document repository where I'll be able to access those documents in real time. We also bring over some property history. If property history is something you're looking for on a particular property, we bring all of that over for you as well. Your client may be asking information about that property while you're out and about, and this would be a great place to find that. We do have a mortgage center as well. You can play around with that. Don't we wish that interest rates were 4%, but maybe we'll get this, you can quickly plug in and get some information or updated information on that. And then, of course, we have the demographics and the community reports of all the basic public information that is in and around about that particular area. So you can just see tremendous amount of public information that is available to you. If this is a property that you like, and so maybe I went to this particular area, I did the search, I did everything that I wanted to do, and now I wanted to share that with my client, simply by tapping on the share button will open up, and like Celeste said earlier, in her instance, she could email, text, or even copy the link, and it looks like you guys may have opened up for a Facebook and Twitter as well. Okay, so that's a couple of ways to share. In addition, you have a couple of icons across the top that I want to point out to you while we're here on this main display. You have the ability to create a listing cart by simply coming in. You can create your own listing cart by putting the plus sign and adding in a cart name. We could just say test and hit save. And now it's going to save that property in that listing cart for me to come back and view or do something with at a later date. I also have the capability of coming in and recommending a property. So if I want to recommend it to one of my contacts, I can simply recommend that property to one of my contacts. This icon with the box with the three little things, it basically says, hey, there's a lot more in this little container, and there is. By tapping on that, you'll see all your third-party integration. So if you like the Remind property or public record display, perfect. If you want to go to the realist property report, perfect. We give you access to be able to get to there very quickly as well. And again, all this works on your mobile device the exact same way, and we'll show you that shortly. Driving directions, tapping on that will just open up your driving directions, whether you have one property or if you were to search and bring back many. You have your print functionality, and then anywhere in the application, I'll point this out multiple times, anywhere in the application you see the three dots, that just means more. So there'll be more information right here. For example, if I had contacts in my Paragon Connect like I do, and I was just looking at this particular property, I may want to see, hey, are any of my contacts getting notifications about this property? Like Celeste mentioned earlier, you have the ability to set up automatic drip campaigns, if you will, for properties. And this really cool feature allows me just one tap, and I can see if there were any prospects of mine that were associated to this particular property. In this instance, there wasn't, but that's okay. But maybe I'll find one that is a little bit later. So that's really simplistically, once you get to a particular property, all the information is laid out here. We did this in this accordion style. So if you're ever wanting to access just a particular part of the report, it's a very easy tap to be able to get to that. Okay. All right. So that's basically all I did there was go right from this main search area here. Like Celeste said earlier, this icon right here is just a search near me, search where you stand. If you're out and about in a location and you wanted to find something close to you, you simply would tap that and it's going to find your location. Obviously, I'm in Atlanta, so it's going to pinpoint me right here. And if there were listings around, then it would populate those listings. Just like I showed you earlier by tapping into that one-line summary, if I'm here and I want to leverage some of my map functionality, I can simply go to this magnifying glass and let's do the exact same thing that I just did and type in a particular area. And so I'm back to where I had started from, even though I did a near me search and it dropped me into Atlanta and there was that one property. So again, showing you lots of different areas that you're able to do, or able to, lots of different ways to be able to access and get to particular parts of the application, depending on where you are, right? I necessarily wouldn't type in if I'm in a particular subdivision. I would just want to hit the near me search, and I would be able to find that information very, very quick, or those properties very quickly. We'll get into the map here in just a second, more detail. Okay, so that's the two areas there on searching. This area here, I don't have to type in a points of interest. I can type in a particular MLS number. I can type in a name. I could even type in a phone number and be able to get that information back. So play around with that and you'll be able to access that information. The next area I want to point out is in the search under properties. This is going to be where you make a lot of people primarily search because they want to be able to filter out a lot of information. So if I were to type on residential sale, you can see all the fields that the MLS has exposed for you all to get started with. You can simply tap in and start typing in information. So for example, if I wanted to type in here and I wanted to go 300,000 with a max of, I don't know, a million, that's a big area. And I wanted to go to a certain area and I wanted to put it in, say, Fenton, and tap that, you can see it's going to build up and see what kind of properties are coming in that particular cell. If I wanted to know just the status of active, then I could come in and I just want to know what my active properties are, right? And instantly I know I've got 36 results. So hopefully everybody saw how easy that is to do. A couple of things I want to point out to you while we're here. Most of all of the fields have additional criteria breakdowns. For example, if I want, under this particular street type, it says equals. If I were to tap on the icon, this little icon here looks like a little equalizer. If I tap on this, it gives me additional field level operators that I can leverage. So for example, if I wanted to put in a contains and I just wanted to put in certain areas, you have additional filter criteria that you guys can play around with to further refine that particular search to get down to something very, very specific. This is a pretty open search. I just kind of wanted to get us some results to play around with. If you wanted to go to your map right from this particular search, your top icon will allow you to go right to the map. Just by tapping on that icon, it's going to then pull back and bring you to those 36 listings on your map. If you wanted to play around with that, then you're able to play around with that. If you want to go back to your, result or search, then you can just simply hit go back. And then I'm back to that area. A couple other things I want to point out to you before we get too much further is you have the icons across the top. This is your save icon, which we'll be doing here in just a second. But I wanted to point these icons out because they're really special. For example, if you're in your search criteria and you're looking for a particular field, you can hit the binoculars. The binoculars is a search icon for fields. For example, if I type that and I wanted to look for a bath field, or I could type in bath and it's going to bring me to that particular field where I can quickly add in information. So that's a really useful feature, especially if you're out and about or on the road or you're on your mobile device and you don't want to scroll to look for all those fields. You can simply hit the binoculars and just type in the field that you're looking for. The next icon over is a filter button, basically allows you to see the criteria that you've put in to get these 36 results. So if you can imagine, you have a lot of information put here. We've only got a little bit of information, but I still might want to see, well, what is it that's bringing back me those 36 results? I can't recall. Just by tapping that, I can see all the criteria that is laid out for me. Here's a really nice feature. You see how each piece of the criteria has its own little X? So if I wanted to come in and take away certain things of that I wanted to be able to take away, I could be able to take away if I have the capability of doing that, right? If some things you click, you won't allow it because it's standard, but most of the time you're able to take that information away. Back. The next icon over, this is just showing you all your saved searches. This is a really cool feature because it shows you all the last searches that you've done. And the cool thing about that is either whether you've done it on your computer, whether you've done it on your phone, whether you've done it wherever you've done it, whatever search you've created on any device you've created in Paragon Connect, you pick up the next device and that same search criteria or result set is there for you. So, and I'll show you this here shortly. I could run this particular search, leave my computer, get in the car, drive off to an appointment, and pull back up that same search that I had just done a few minutes ago, even though I didn't do it on my phone. So that's a really nice feature there as well. Again, I know you guys can't answer this, but hopefully you remember, what do the three icons mean? That means more, and I'm able to get in and do some different things. Celeste had mentioned earlier in her MLS, or maybe in her experience, on the Paragon Connect, she wanted just a few fields or additional fields. And I wanted to point this out to you all because the MLS has done an amazing job of giving you all these fields. However, there may be some of you that want something specific, and I didn't want to not show you how to get that. So for example, if I wanted to customize this sheet, I'm simply able to go in and hit customize fields. This is showing me all the fields that I have currently set up. If you hit the plus, and hopefully you're following along, that every time there's a plus button, it means add. I can simply tap the add, and now I have access to all of these fields that I could use to put over into my search. Okay, for example, maybe I want subdivision and I want it in my primary criteria. I can simply hit add that and apply. And now, if I were to scroll down, I see subdivision added to my search criteria. Again, really cool feature. Everybody works differently. Some people want more data, some people want less. But one of the things I wanted you all to be aware of, if one particular field is not here, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means that you may need to add that if you so desire. Okay, so that's a lot of information about going over a lot of things that we just talked about. And now I want to get to searching for this particular group of properties, right? And so if I wanted to come in and I want to go back and say, I want to search for this group of properties, I can simply hit search. And now I'm going to be able to search for those properties. And it's going to bring those properties back to me pretty quickly, unless I lost my internet. Okay, I'm not sure what happened to that, but we're back. So all I did was run the search. I talked about everything we were going to do. I ended up running the search. Here is the search. A couple of things I want to point out to you. Again, all I did was, and I did that kind of quickly, is I put in my criteria and hit search, right? I didn't want to go through all of the different things that we just talked about there. I just want to kind of quickly run the search. It's going to come back in this thumbnail type view. If you like this view, fantastic. If you want to change the view, this is the icon to change the view. Simply tapping on this icon will give you the opportunity to go to a map view, a spreadsheet view, or even the result analytics. So I showed you the map view earlier. If I want to go into a spreadsheet view, this would be the spreadsheet view that I can go into. Lots of different things that you're able to do here, even down to the customizations. And maybe we can talk about that if we have time at the end. I also have the ability to come in and run an analytics report on all the properties that I just searched on. This particular report is basically just active property, so it's not really giving me a lot of different information, but you do have the ability to come in and pull analytics on that type of search, which is pretty cool. And another really cool feature here is this. Even though I've ran the search and I've gone to the analytics or I've on a spreadsheet or anything like that, this little icon here, which is the filter, would allow me to go back and add any additional criteria if I wanted to do so. Okay. So that's a really cool feature there as well. And it comes back even though you've already ran your results. So you can imagine you're out and about, you run your search, and you're like, "Ooh, I forgot to add a particular piece of criteria." Instead of going back and rerunning all of this search, you just simply tap on the filter and brings back everything that you've already uh, put in. And then you can look at what you've put in, like I showed you earlier, or you can come in and search for a particular field. For example, if I said, you know what, I forgot they only want to live in this particular subdivision or primary criteria, or whatever it is that I want to do, I can kind of come in and put that information. Okay. Another great feature is if I'm looking at this, and maybe I don't want to go into every single property, I can simply tap on that same icon I showed you earlier on the property report and see a photo gallery. So without going into every property, I can just scroll through very quickly and see the photos to make sure it's going to meet the criteria of my buyer. So I'm able to quickly see that information without going into every single photo or every single property. I can just quickly look at those photos and see, is this property what my client's looking for before I save it or send it off to them. So that's a really good feature. If you were to select properties, say I were to select these three properties, you can view those properties. So it says selected. If you look at this little icon right here, if I tap on this, I can just show the checked properties, which it gives me those three properties. If for some reason I said, oh, I should have selected another one, I don't have to rerun the search. I don't have to do anything. All I can merely do is tap this and say display all and watch what happens. Displays all and still maintains those three checked. So I can go back and add an additional property and continue on with what I may be doing. Maybe show checked here, and I want to share that off to a client. I can come in and email, text, copy the link, and send that off to whoever I wanted to send that off to. Okay, so pretty simple there. Again, under the three icons, if you wanted to come in and do different things with those properties, you could come in and do these types of things, whether print them, add them to a cart, recommend all four properties like I showed you earlier, create a CMA, or access any third-party applications. Okay, so I wanted to kind of point that out to you. Let's go back and display all. If this is a group of properties, I'm going to go back and take all this off. I've got these 12 results. If I wanted to save this search off for a client, then I could save this off to a current client. If I wanted to save this search for a new client, then I have the ability to save it to a new client. So let me go ahead and see if I can't save this search. Ooh, I already had saved it. So I'm going to create a search for my client. And I'm going to say 300,000 to a million, and it's going to be active. And we're going to be in the area of Fenton. Let's go with this. And it should bring back some of the property information. I want to save this search. And what I'm trying to do here is once I get the save search, I'm going to save this search as and create a client on this particular search. So here it brings back my ability to save the search. If I wanted to name that search, I'm going to name it Show. I'm going to assign it to a contact, but I don't have this particular contact in my search. I can simply hit the plus, and hopefully you guys remember from earlier, plus means add. So if I wanted to add that client, I'm going to put in show and show. Easy person to remember. She has the same first and same last name. Now, I want to point this out to you before I go ahead and finish this. See where it says auto notifications? Auto notifications. Celeste earlier talked about how she likes to set up uh, for her to get emails herself before she sends it to the client. You can simply do that by hitting Agent Preview. That means, hey, you've set your client up, the system's running these automatic searches, but it's not sending it to your client until you had a chance to look at that first. All right, and so that's under Agent Preview, and so that's a very cool feature. We're going to put in our contact's email address, and then that's it. I'm going to hit save. And when I'm saving that, it's now saving that contact. It is sending them off to a collaboration center. I can create a personalized message that says, welcome, welcome, and then hit save. And once I hit save, it's off and it's running. So if I wanted to hit save right here, it's going to create a collaboration center, which we're going to talk about here shortly. And it's going to send off this notification to Shosho, who is my contact that I just met a little while ago. So it's going to kind of build this experience, and then off it goes. While we're talking about that, if I wanted to go into my contacts and I want to create and see Shosho, I can quickly see what her contact information. She's going to get 36 properties to look at. But what I wanted to show you before we turn it over to the collaboration center is I wanted to show you under message history, I have the ability to go back and see what did we just send to that particular contact. And now you can see this is the email that they would receive. Hey, let's collaborate. Here's those 36 listings. Get started. And it's giving you all of this great information. And this is what the email would look like that I just sent to Shonda in this particular instance, right? And so it gives you the ability to go back in and take a look at that. While we're getting ready for her to open that up, I wanted to go in and show you a couple of things on another contact, and then we'll go back and show you some things that Shosho actually did. So if I look into one of my contacts, I can see the 43 undecided. I can see that this particular contact is favorited 6, possible 3, rejected 4. These are all clickable, so anytime I can go into those. I can click on the buyer activity, which is showing me all the searches that I had set up for this particular client. So it's very easy for me to see, okay, I've set up this particular search, I've set up this particular search, and this particular search. I've actually recommended a particular property that she's actually favorited, giving you the ability to actually quickly access this information. For example, in this particular scenario, Betty Buyer calls me and says, "Hey, Terry, you just recommended a property to me. I really, really like that property." Well, you've done that for a lot of different people. So you quickly would able to access on your phone or on your computer your contact and tap that favorite property. And now you're looking at all the detail and information about that property, and you can see if there was any open houses available, anything going on with this particular property. You would have the ability to go in and take a look at that information. Okay. So again, or even come in and quickly say, well, let me set up a showing and we'll go out and take a look at that. Again, I just really want to show you how easy it is to access and get to that information very, very quickly. Okay, we can come back to this in just a minute. I wanted to see if, Shonda, are you ready to move to the collaboration center?
Hey, Terry. Before we go there, can you quickly on the phone? I think we've been getting some questions about is it an app or is it responsive? Can you show a little bit on your phone and how you would use that power search and near me, and you could save that as an actual tile on your phone and that you don't need the app? It'll work just by responsiveness.
Yeah, so great question. Okay, I'm not seeing the question, so that's great. So now everything I just showed you, again, I'm on my computer. You can see my new little grandson back there. So what I wanted to do is I just open up the browser because this is a browser application, if you will. So you have the capability of coming in and going to the same URL that you use to access that dashboard. And when you get to that dashboard, if you're on your phone, you just tap on the same Paragon Connect icon on the dashboard. It will then open up this experience. Every single thing we've done is here. Now, what you can do is if you wanted to download this to your phone and you're on an iPhone, the little icon down here in the bottom gives you the ability to do that. You might want to download, if you're not doing that already, you might want to do that with the Real Comp dashboard, because that would be the way to let you in. But just to show you how to do that, if I were to tap on that, scroll down, it's going to say add to home screen. I could simply add that to my home screen. hit add at the top, and then it's going to add that icon right here to my home screen. Okay. Now, once you've done that, when you click on that, it should redirect you to the dashboard or the login that you would use, your typical login, take you to the dashboard, and then you click the icon for Paragon Connect. This just gives you a quick way to access it. Okay, so like I kind of said earlier, it is a responsive design web browser application. And so everything that I did, the way it looks, and everything we just did is laid out the exact same way. So if I went back into um, the address link, say I did the same exact search. What did we do? We were looking for that Cackleberry airport. I could do that. With my Southern draw, sometimes the voice doesn't work, but because if you look down here, if you're a voice to text kind of person, you can actually tap on that and you can actually type or talk to text anywhere in a field that this little display shows up. So the same scenario, same exact look and feel, everything we just did is there. If I wanted to go back to look at that same $1.6 million property, simply by tapping on that, I'm now looking at that exact property, and hopefully you're able to see, without me talking about it too much, everything that we did earlier on the desktop. Guess what? Same location, same area, access my documents if I wanted to access my documents. If I wanted to hit my community reports, all my community reports are right here as well. So everything that I'm looking to do that I showed you on the desktop is in the exact same location, even down to in the bottom right hand corner. You remember in the bottom right hand corner on the desktop how that was where the share button was? It's in the exact same location with the exact same icons. Across the top, all the icons are exact same location. The three dots, if you remember, mean more, and I'm able to kind of click on that and go to those same pieces of functionality right there. So all the functionality works exactly the same as it did on the desktop. So Sean had said the near me search, it's got my location. This icon here, if I were to tap on that, it's going to do just like it did earlier and put me here in Atlanta. If I wanted to search and go somewhere else, I could go and do this again. I'll try to say it and see what happens. Cackleberry Airport. That's pretty good. All right. So I want to do the voice to text there. And to show you, I didn't show you this on the desktop, but I could do it. I could do the same thing. If you want to do all your drawing tools are here on your desktop, you would imagine. But if I tap on that, look at all the different drawing tools I have. So I can do polygons. I can do a freehand draw and search on a couple of areas. So I have that capability. If I wanted to see these properties, then of course I could see these properties exactly like I showed you. Map view, the top icon here shows me the ability to do a thumbnail view, spreadsheet view, or analytics. If I wanted to see the thumbnail view, I'm able to see all those properties in a thumbnail view. You remember that feature I showed you about not wanting to tap into every property? Same functionality. So if I'm looking at this particular property going, oh, that's kind of neat, let me just take a look at the photos. This little icon right here allows me, even on my phone, to quickly glance at all the photos and say, you know what, my client really would like this. This is what they're looking for. I want to do something with this. One tap on the share. I'm now emailing and texting this off to my client. So again, same functionality, even on your phone that I shared with you on the desktop. We're not going to beat this to death, but I just wanted to show you again if I went to the residential sale. You remember how I was telling you earlier, even though I was running those searches on my desktop, I could quickly come in and hit the three dots, which means what? More. Tap on the three dots and come in and say, there, what are my last searches that I've done? I just did this 12 minutes ago. I can tap on that, gives me my result set very quickly, and hit go. And there's that search that I just did on my computer instantly waiting for me right here. Even to the point where even if I ran the search on the computer, now I'm on my phone and my client says, oh, but you didn't put in whatever that piece of criteria is, again, remember the filter at the top. I'm able to tap that and add any additional criteria that I'm looking for right here. Okay, so just again, it makes it very easy to be able to access that information. Even though I started it on my computer, I'm now finishing it on my phone. Again, every piece of functionality that we've talked about, the contacts, remember we talked about the contacts, there's show, we just set show up. And the exact same thing, if I want to look back and say, hey, did we send out that message history? Tap on the message history, and I can see exactly what we sent to her, just like I showed you on the computer. I have the same capability of showing it to you here as well. Betty
Hey, Terry,
Byer.
are we ready to show? I'm so excited to show them the client side. And I
Oh,
think,
good. Okay.
yeah, we only have about 15 minutes left, and I want to make sure that we do the easy CMA, which basically it does the CMA for you by just entering in a little bit of information. And one thing I wanted to make sure, I was so excited earlier. I stole your screen for a second there, Terry.
Oh, you
But can
got it. Okay,
you,
good.
yeah, can you go back just for 1 second to that power bar? They may have not have seen this. So on your phone right there, can you just go back home? Yes. So at the very beginning, this was what he was going over when my screen, I think, kind of took over. And this is where you can add that address, that points of interest, MLS number, a contact that you're looking for, a safe search that you've entered. All of that information, you can search for all of that right there on your power bar. So I want to make sure everybody got that. Okay, Terry, can I share my screen now? Can I
You
still
got
look
it.
from
You
you a
got it.
little?
You got it.
Okay, hold on for a second.
Here, I'll stop sharing.
Can you see my screen now?
I cannot.
Okay, Fran, Tammy, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And do we have the reaction icons? Do those work? I think I saw some earlier. So if you like some of the things that you've been seeing, especially that Terry's been going over, give us some reactions there on the things that you like, and we love feedback. So Terry's been talking all about the agent side and all the agent tools that you have, fully functioning MLS system, not just on your desktop, as he was showing you also on the phone. So it's not just a few features on the phone. Everything that he did on the desktop, he can do on the phone. So even customizing searches and grids, all of that can be done on whatever device that you decide that you want to do that on. And what's so great about Paragon Connect is not only on the agent side is it responsive, but it's also responsive on your client side. So he's been talking about all the agent stuff. We want to switch gears for a second. Let's talk all about the clients, right? Because that's what it's about, is that experience that you're giving your client and the communication back and forth. So as you saw earlier, he set up a search for me. So there's my search. I cheated a little bit. I already opened up my email and I clicked on the link. It was super easy. It told me how many matches I had, and it takes me directly to my client portal. So this is one that's created just for me with a search that my agent created for me. And again, if let's say I'm at the soccer field with my kid, I can use that on my phone. I can be looking at all of the photos, all of the listings, or if I'm in, the den, I can be using my laptop. So it just depends again on where you're at and what you want to do. It's going to respond to whatever device that you have. And what's great about this is a lot of things that you saw on the agent side, it's going to look and feel the same way on your client side, which makes it super easy to work with your clients because you're using some of the same components on the agent and the client side. So as soon as I log in, so I talked to Terry earlier and he said he created the search for me. He also said I can create my own search at the very top. So remember that power bar that you saw earlier? Same thing on the consumer side. If I want to put in points of interest, an address, I can do that. I also have that near me function. So if I want to go explore on my own and I see something that's for sale, hey, I just one tap away, I can click that near me and it's going to show those properties around me as the consumer, all those tools that I've always wanted is right here on my client portal. So I no longer have to go off to a Zillow or somewhere else. I can stay right here with my agent and do my searching and see those results and create my own. So as soon as they log in, they can always contact their agent right up here. So if I want to contact my agent, if I want to email them or call them, I can do that. And when we get down to the listing views, I can even text my agent. I can chat with comments with them. You're going to see all of that. So different ways for different people and the way that they decide that they want to communicate with you. So as soon as I log in, it welcomes me here. I see I can search, but here's the match listing. So I love shopping and house shopping, so I'm super excited about this. I've got 36 new matches that Terry sent me, so I want to make sure I look at those. And he also mentioned updates. So if there's any updates, like if maybe some of those properties have changed prices, or maybe it's no longer available, or there's an open house there, I can quickly get to any of those listings just a tap away. And if he had recommended any of those to me that are maybe it's outside of my range, maybe it was a little bit more expensive, he can recommend those and those are going to be right here. So we'll go over this in just a second. Since I just started, everything's new. I don't have a lot of categories here, but I am ready to get started. So I want to come in and I want to look at the match listings first. So I'm ready to go house shopping and find my new home. And as soon as I see those, I can do a lot of different things with it. So for example, I can save as favorites or possibilities. All of that's going to be here. So now I've got that nice thumbnail view and I see the photo. So nice photos here. I can see all of them. That's awesome. I'm going to take a look at those in just a second. Let me quickly look at the data, the price, the bedrooms. And if I quickly just want to go through these just by pictures, and I can say, okay, I love that one. I don't like that one. Okay, I like that one. I think that one's going to be a possibility. So I can quickly go through here and look at these and see what I want, but I can also tag these. And what it means by tagging them is you can create as the consumer, as your client, and also the agent can do this too. You can set this up for your clients. So as the client coming in, so I want to maybe create a folder called kitchens because kitchens are super important to me. So I can put them in my folder for kitchens and then I can save it. Now that one's going to go into my kitchen. Maybe I want to tag this one. Maybe this one is a remodel. So if I thought about using it as a remodel, I can do that. So you can come in here and name them whatever you want. One of the things that I like to do is because I'm going to be sharing this site with my partner, John. So I want to create a folder so he doesn't mess anything of mine up. So I'm going to create him his own folder. So I'm going to put his name on it so he can put in all the listings that he likes in his folder. There we go. I can also comment on any of these. So if I have a question, like I see there's a lot of snow there, does snow removal come with this property? And this is a direct message to my agent. So they're going to be able to see this message right away. And I can also call them. I can look at the details. I can email them on this property. So again, multiple ways that you can come in here and put that comment and get your questions answered. I can also request a showing on this one. So if I want to request a showing, let's say maybe on Friday at 1 o'clock, and I'm going to go ahead and save it, right? There we go. And I can add more comments down here if I want. So this is also just going to give a quick comment to my agent and letting them know I have questions about this property and I also want to see this property tomorrow at that particular time. So all of my information is here, everything I can do here. But if I really want to drill down to some of this information and I go into my details. So same thing that you saw on the agent side, right? So now as the consumer, I can come in here and I can look at all of my photos. There we go. I can look at them one by one. So here's my slideshow I can go through. Once I look at all the photos, I can come here and I can look at the map view. There we go. I can enlarge it so it can take over if I want. All of that's right there if I want it larger. We also have the satellite views right there. If I want to see if it's in maybe a flood zone, I have all this information right here as a consumer. And here's my information. I can also request a showing here, leave comments. There's the public remarks. There's my mortgage information if I want to go in and see, at 7%, what is this going to look like with down payment? The community reports that, Terry was talking about earlier, all of those are right here. And if I want to share it, say I really like this one and I want to send it out on Facebook and get information like, hey, do you love this property? If I want to text, comments, back and forth to my agent, email, all of that is right there. So super easy to do. All the details are right there for me. And notice these have check boxes. So if you really want to compare these, maybe there's 3 or 4 of these that I want to see side by side. Right at the top, as soon as I check those, it gives me all of the options that I can do. Driving directions, if I want to share it out. But that one right there is going to compare these. So it's going to bring them up side by side, and it's going to show me all that information. So if I want to look at the photos, if I want to look at the bedrooms, the finished area, all of that's right there. So anytime I want to compare them, I can do it. If I want to do the driving directions, it's right there. So all my information is here. So I'm going to go back at the very beginning. I've been looking at listings. I showed you everything that I can do with them. But now let's go to, let's see if I can do a search here.
Do Whitmore.
Whitmore, that's what I was looking for. Thank you. Had a birthday the other day. Obviously, it's kicking in. So there's my there's my Whitmore Lake. So if I want to put in a point of interest or an address, that's how quickly I can come through here as your client, as the consumer, and it's going to pinpoint that exact location and it's going to show all the properties around me that's for sale. And if I want to look at it, all I have to do, quick tap away, and it's going to show me that detail page. And Terry was talking about those draw tools earlier. Well, not only can he do it, if I want to come in here and I want to draw shapes, there we go. I can do that on my own. So there's my shape. And if I want to remove them or edit those shape, it's just right here. So all those cool tools that he can do, I can do those also. And I can save this search right there and then go back to that search at any time. And if I want to put in more criteria, so once I draw that shape and I want to put in a list price or bedrooms, it'll apply that and save it. And next time I come in, that search is going to be ready for me. So I have full capability of creating my own search, looking at the details, looking at the mapping, doing drive directions, near me, points of interest, all of that is right there. And when I come down, if I want to quickly go to any of those that I saved as a favorite or possibility, I can do that right here. And here's my communication with my agent. So right away, I'm going to see any kind of communication right here on my portal. And when I go to my navigation bar up here to the left, here's where my property searches are going to be, any comments, my tag folders, so I can quickly jump in there. All that information is going to be right here, including my contact my agent page. Okay, Terry, I know I did a lot. Anything else that I forgot?
No, I think that's great. I said, one of the things that you were talking about was saving that search. And I think it's great how if you were to save that search, on the agent side, I would be able to know exactly which search that you did save, which is pretty cool. Okay, so you're back seeing my screen again, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So just to kind of, is this the right one here? Just to kind of show you updates. So remember earlier, and we're going to jump in. I know we don't have just a couple of minutes, but I wanted to show you a couple of things instantaneously. She says, "Does this have does snow removal come with this property?" You guys saw that she wrote that. If I'm on my phone or on my computer, I can instantly answer that question. But a couple of things I wanted to point out that, we just normally wouldn't get to if we didn't show you this. And that is, once I get this, it's great that I see a picture, but check this out, guys. Well, as soon as I see that, I can say, "Oh, I don't know much about that property." All I did was tap the photo of that property, and I can glean all of that great information and then say, whatever. No, uh, but let's chat anyway, right? So again, if she was back on her collaboration center, she just got a notification that I just basically answered that remark. So that's pretty cool there. One of the things that I wanted to point out to you also is, if she were to go in and update any of her information here, if I were to come in and update this information, she were to favorite, possible, reject, you can now see exactly what she's done. So again, showing you how quick and easy it is to be able to have what she was doing, Shosho's doing on the collaboration side, to me back on the Paragon Connect side, how instantly that collaboration is there. So you can see how quickly I could get to those two properties that she thought was a favorite. And now I have the agent level information that I'm able to share, interact with her in real time with, which is great. So I wanted to kind of point out a couple of things there. A couple other things I want to point out, and then we'll get going. But before I finish up here, it's really important because we've given you a lot of information. When you log in, whether you're on the Collaboration Center or on Paragon Connect, at the very top, you'll see this little down icon, this little black icon. If you tap on that, you'll see help. If you were to tap the help, it's going to give you all kinds of videos, access to lots of different things that you're able to access from a help perspective. So you might want to be able to go in there and learn all that information. We're going to touch on Easy CMA last, but I wanted to point out a couple of other little things. Under your resources tab, if you tap on the resources, again, whether you're on your phone or computer, you'll see access to all of these different things. For example, if you're in the system, you're looking at a property, you need to edit a property while you're in Paragon, then you'd want to click on your resources and go right to your Remine add edit functionality, right? And there's some other things here that you guys could play around with as well. So I wanted to point that out. It's under resources on your drop down. Settings, under settings, this is where you'd come in and set up your profile, your office logos, email settings, phone settings, social media, all of that stuff. So you can play around with all of that information. You also have system settings where you can set up your result options. You can come in and choose a theme. If you wanted a Sugar Blast theme, I might want to change my theme. That's just something fun that you have the capability of doing. If I go back to settings, your collaboration center, display settings, additional resources that you can be able to add, any kind of consumer search. Under display settings, here's where you would be able to get in and get information that they could see. If you wanted to add additional resources, you have that capability there as well. And then, of course, on your consumer search, you can set up what they can search on. A lot of people, as a little bit of a tidbit here, a lot of people like to just say active searches or coming soon searches, whatever your system allows, and take away some of the sold and pending searches just so it makes it easier for your clients. But you have that capability built right in. Okay, so I want to just kind of show you under settings. That's where all of this is kind of where all of this kind of lives, and you'd be able to come in there and play around with it. If you're a picture type person and you want to add photos, you can just simply tap and add the photos. Same thing with the Collaboration Center. You're able to come in and set up your photos for your contacts if that's something you want. If you don't, it'll just give you the initials. All right, so let's go back. So back home, this is my cool little new theme, just because it's something fun and cool, or cute, I guess, if you will. And I wanted to kind of add that just to change things up a bit. I want to leave you with this, and this is under the Easy CMA, and I'm on the computer. Again, I can do the exact same thing on the phone, and we can do that if you'd like. But if I wanted to start a new CMA, I could come in and create Start New CMA. You can use an address search, or I can use a listing ID. If I wanted to use a listing ID, oh, I got one saved, hit Add, and there it is. If this is the property and where it's located, again, I've got all of my mapping tools. So if I wanted to see it as a satellite view, You have the capability of seeing satellite and say, whoop, that is it. I am going to confirm this. Once I confirm this, it's going to run and find any public or any type of data that it can find on that property. You have the capability of updating that information. If it's all in line with what you expect or what you know, then you just simply hit next. For all intents and purposes, I just created the CMA. It's going to bring back all the properties around in its proximity to meet the criteria. I can scroll through and look at these. If I wanted to see more on this particular property to make sure it meets the criteria, you can simply tap on it and it's going to open up all the criteria information that you would be looking for. If, say, in this particular scenario, there was a photo issue, I could simply remove it and it would recalculate my information. If you want to edit the comp order, you can. If you want to manually enter a comp, you could manually enter a comp based on an address or a listing ID. If you wanted to generate new comps, you could come in and update your close date, lot size, acres, bathrooms, approximate square foot, bedrooms, anything to generate a new comps to kind of tighten it up a little bit if that's something you desire to do. If everything, oh, there's another thing. If you wanted to, when you looked at this property, if you want to make some adjustments and notes, you can set up and make some adjustment and notes on that particular property. If you want to just generate the CMA, you can generate the CMA. Or if you picked a property or removed a property, like I removed this property, but I want to add that property back for whatever reason, I can simply hit select and now I can add that property back to my CMA. If everything's the way I want it, then I can simply hit generate the CMA. It'll bring back a street view if it's available. If you wanted to add a photo, you can add a photo. It's going to give you some suggested, at least suggested pricing. You can come in and edit the range. You still are the professional. This is just giving you a quick snapshot of based on the information that we could gather, what that looks like. Obviously, you can update that. If everything looks like you want it to do, you've looked at all the information, you've scrolled through and seen, you can edit the comparables if you like, pricing summaries, how you derive that information. If everything's where it needs to be, you can simply hit the share button and I can, if I'm on my computer, I can email that off, or if I was on my cell phone, I could text it. From here, you can also assign it to a contact or print it. Simply hitting print will open up the print button. If you're on your phone and you're out at your clients, then they have an air printer, if you will, then you could actually print that. I'm pretty tied down where I couldn't print my PDF, but you get the idea. And then of course you can go back home and this is going to show you all of the different CMAs that you have. One of the things that we're hearing, I was just on a caravan down in Florida with a couple of clients. And these folks want, they've been using Paragon Connect for quite some time now, and they were actually they were running these CMAs as they were literally walking up the driveway to make sure it was priced right based on the criteria in which they put in. I thought that was relatively cool. Under settings, this is where you can come in and pre-can your adjustment defaults and turn them off or on depending on what you want to do. You also have the ability to come in and set a comparable property change so that it basically would keep up with uh, if you want to keep the data live or do you want to keep it static. What I mean by that is if once you do the CMA and you send it to a client, it could be static in nature, or if you wanted to take that CMA, so anytime they were to look at it, say 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month later, it would automatically run new comps based on the new updated information, and you can turn that on or off, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, you got your introductions, footers, and then provide us some feedback. So, folks, we are right up just a few minutes past our time that we were given. I hope this gave you a lot of information, probably a whole lot more information than you could digest all in 1 hour. But get in there, play around with it. Don't forget to get into your help screens and really enjoy Paragon Connect. And we hope you maybe we'll have another session soon, and you can come back after you've played around with it and learn a little bit more. So with that, I will say thank you guys very, very much and have an awesome, great day and great weekend.
Thank you. Thank you, Terry, Shonda, and Gary for presenting today. As a reminder to everyone, you can access Paragon Connect through your RealComp dashboard. And we do appear to owe you some answers to questions, and we will be sure to get those question answers and emailed to you. And please let us know if there's other questions that are generated from this webinar, and we appreciate you spending your time with us today. Thanks again, Terry, Shonda, and Gary.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.